Welcome to The Business Strategist, the show for CEOs and founders ready to scale fast, lead smarter, and build a business that doesn't rely on them. I'm Adam Strong, award-winning strategist, former elite athlete, international speaker, and 3 times best-selling author. After 3 decades in business, I know exactly what it takes to grow, scale, and exit with impact. Each week, I dive into real conversations with industry experts, bold entrepreneurs, and clients navigating the uphill struggles of business, giving you the tools and the strategies to create more profit, more freedom, and more impact. Let's get into it. Are you spending your nights trying to hack the LinkedIn algorithm for a blue top voice badge because you think it's the ultimate shortcut to God status and credibility? I've held the LinkedIn top voice badge for over 2 years, and I recently lost it. And now at first I thought, you know what? This is a kick in the balls. And it felt like my credibility had been like stripped back. But then something weird has happened recently. My business has actually got better. My followers grew, my conversions grew into clients. My ideal clients started to actually show up in large quantities. And today, I want to pull back the curtain on why the blue top voice badge on LinkedIn is the biggest lie ever, and why losing it was actually one of the best things that's happened to my bottom line. So welcome to today's episode of The Business Strategist with myself, Adam Strong. As you know, I'm going to pull back the curtain on addressing the biggest lie on LinkedIn, which is all around the top voice badge. Now, as some of you know, if you have listened to this show many times before, I've done numerous YouTube videos on how to achieve a LinkedIn top voice badge. In fact, I'm probably one of LinkedIn's biggest fans. However, as I just alluded to you, I've recently lost that top voice badge. Yes, I know. I can hear you getting the violin out and feeling sorry for me. But actually, I want to say to you right now, if you're one of those people that going around trying to kill yourself to try to achieve a top LinkedIn voice badge, let's address a few myths around the LinkedIn top voice badge, okay? So myth number 1 is that the badge boosts the algorithm. I will say this to you now. The badge does not boost your algorithm. We don't get any favoritism just because we create some content. The algorithm does not, I repeat, does not favoritize our posts over other posts. So that's myth number 1. Myth number 2, the badge provides us with more direct messages from potential clients. Now, I actually will challenge that 100%. And what's really annoying about the LinkedIn top voice badge is that actually it does completely the polar opposite. It attracts unsolicited cold spammers more than it does for normal people. You can't imagine how many people spam me on a daily basis when I had the LinkedIn top voice badge. They see us as credible, right? But we'll go and, we'll send them a spam message. That's so annoying. And probably the same for you guys. I only do business with people that I like, know, and trust. Okay? Probably the same for you as well. So that's number 2. Point number 3 is that most people think that to have a top LinkedIn voice badge, we get VIP treatment. Actually, 100%, I can safely say that is so not true. In fact, quite the opposite. LinkedIn has not given me any VIP treatment. It doesn't give us the red carpet. We don't get awarded a BAFTA or anything like that. In fact, it has done 0 to my treatment whatsoever. So that's myth number 3. And myth number 4 is it is not a lifetime achievement award. I want to just kind of say that to you right now. Okay? What's really interesting is that LinkedIn changes their top voice badges every 6 months, or they at least review the content that you're putting out there. They review it every 6 months and they'll either take it away or you keep it. Okay. I was fortunate to keep it for 2 years, but the LinkedIn top voice badge program is only for a small amount of people, 300 people to be exact. Now, when you've got 1 billion members on LinkedIn and less than 1% of people post content on a weekly basis, it's a very small number. tiny number, minuscule number. So just, again, kind of wanted to like bear that in mind when you're thinking about chasing after that LinkedIn top voice badge. I want to address some of the comments that I have on my YouTube channel and people that have reached out to me here on LinkedIn or follow me based on those videos, is that just because you have a LinkedIn top voice badge, you're not, is that people think that you're trusted instantly. And actually, all I found it's actually served as a bit of a distraction. I always find that people are trying to hack the algorithm. They're so busy trying to work out what the algorithm wants and not what your clients not what you want. Okay. And that badge also makes you a target for, like I said, salespeople and just not necessarily a magnet for the clients that you actually want to work with. So again, I would just want to address that first of all. I do, in reflection now, feel a little bit hurt by what LinkedIn has done, because I mean, I've spent months and months of researching, testing to find out what's the best practice for organic reach. Now I don't have that badge status. Okay, I do feel an element of betrayal. But in another sense, I kind of feel like now it's gone. I don't need to have that pressure on my shoulders, because, there is an element of pressure. I mean, obviously, when I first got started, I didn't feel that pressure. But of course, it's nice to have that top voice badge. But guys, don't kill yourself for it. There are no shortcuts to success. But what's really interesting, since I lost my badge, I've now been attracting better prospects. I have a high quality of followers, and I'm actually having real conversations that are turning from conversations into real clients. So direct messages that then lead to revenue. And that's kind of like what I have seen. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to offer some thoughts here, because I want to kind of share about what's happening with the playbook that I've created. And yes, what you would see now is that LinkedIn uses a completely different system now. It uses what we call the 360 brew system, which is LinkedIn's new AI system, all right, which effectively scans your content and it matches to whatever it is that you have on your profile with the content that you're creating. And then based over time, it will then use your content to then reach out to relevant parties. So over the last sort of 24, 25 months or whatever it is, and listen, I've been doing this not because of a LinkedIn top voice badge, but actually just now we're seeing a huge influx of, there's so much AI slop out there. There's so much AI-driven content out there. I feel like if you really want credibility and you really want to position yourself, AI will never replace you as a human being in terms of your train of thought, in terms of your thinking, in terms of your experiences. It's never going to replace that, because it's a computer, it's a machine. So I want to give you guys some best practice tips about how to turn your LinkedIn profile into a magnet for organic leads, highly qualified organic leads that turns into business. So let me give you some tips. Let me share about what I've been doing and what I do on a regular basis that really gets results. All right. So first thing is to make sure that you're constantly updating your profile. One of the things that drives me absolutely crackers when it comes to LinkedIn profiles is that a lot of people create a profile. They think it's a CV, all right? It's not a CV, ladies and gents, okay? It is a sales page. People don't want to know what you do. People want to know how you can help others. And this is extremely important. So what I do every 2 or 3 months is I update my LinkedIn profile. What do? I make sure that the headline is optimized. I've got an updated background profile window as well, updated. I like to make sure that I've got regular recommendations. So you'll see the recommendations section as well available. What else do? I like to make sure that I'm constantly changing. I'm keeping my story because I think my story is very important, but I'm constantly changing and evolving, just tweaking the words, and constantly keeping on top of your profile all the time. Because otherwise, if you don't, and it just sits there and you forget about it, what's going to happen is then what you'll start to see that your conversions, your content is going to take a lot longer for you to then convert potential clients into real revenue. So stay on top of your profile. The way that I stay on top of my profile, three most important things that I focus on. Number one is the headline. In the headline, I don't want to know what you do, occupation. I don't want to know that you're a consultant, you are an accountant, like you've got all these wonderful letters on the end of your name. Like, I just don't give a shit about any of those things. What I care about is, what exactly do you specialize in? What problem do you solve? How long is it going to take to fix? And what do you use? For example, most founders exit too late, not too early. They hit their number, then waste another 2 years second guessing it. Here's what keeps you stuck. You know what your business is worth, but you don't know what you're worth once you're out. Will the life you're picturing cost you 3, 5, or 8 million pounds? You probably have no idea. Now, our sponsors, Zentum, are financial planners who have built a tool for exactly this. It's called the Cash Out with Confidence Assessment Tool, and it shows you the real numbers, what your exit actually funds, and whether there's a gap to actually close. It takes less than 5 minutes, and you'll know if you can exit now or how much longer you need before you actually can. Go to cash-out-with-confidence.scoreup.com or check out the link in the show description notes below. Enjoy. Say you are a lawyer, okay, and you help with M&A deals. I use that as an example, right? I don't want to see that you're an M&A lawyer. Like, who cares? That doesn't create differentiation. It doesn't say anything about me, about your profile, about what makes you different to all the other lawyers out there. What I really want to know is, what is different about you? What is the problem that you're actually trying to solve? So, for example, for someone that wants to sell a business, I want to know if I can keep all of what I actually sell. So if I want to sell my business, the first thing I'm thinking about is, I don't want other people being able to take advantage of me or ripping me off, or I want to keep as much as the money that I make from the sale of my business, right? I want to make sure I'm compliant, I'm good. I want to be looked after. Okay, that's a fear. That's something that I need to address. So what can you say in your profile that solves that? So you might be an accountant, for example. I don't want to know that you're an accountant, by the way. Just on my road alone, I know 5 accountants. What I want to know is there something specific that you help your clients with? What is it a methodology? Is it a framework? Like, tell me specifically, and how quickly can you solve my problem? So I want you to think about that first headline section. That's very important. So that's the first thing. Secondly, profile picture. I don't want to see a picture of you out on a lad's night out on a Saturday night. I don't want to see the fact that you were drunk on a Friday night out with the girls. I would like to see a professional photo. It's extremely important. First impressions count, guys. Really, really important. And then the third part is that banner in the background. And you can create a very simple banner if you wish to on places like canva.com. Just a very simple, one tone color with a big headline of what you do. And there might be some credibility. And you can also get graphic designers to do LinkedIn banners for very little money, for like $10, $15, $20. And then you can just upload it onto there. All right. So don't spend huge amounts of time. But again, first impressions count on your LinkedIn profile. Very important. Secondly, what do? I post regularly. Now, I don't post every day. Now, one of the common myths on LinkedIn is that you need to post every day in order to grow your business. Now, it doesn't matter if you and I've experimented with this. My idea of posting regularly is 3 to 4 times a week maximum. All right. I focus on quality over quantity. That's extremely important. Now, you could be like Gary Vaynerchuk and broadcast 33 different pieces of content on a daily basis on multiple channels. That's great if you want to broadcast, but really, is there any actual depth to it? Now, if we're specifically focusing on LinkedIn, my advice to you guys is if you're not posting, if you're whinging about the fact that organic content never works, I used to feel that because I was that person until I started getting consistency with my content. I started identifying, understanding what I really wanted to talk about. So thinking about 2 to 3 different pillars that you could talk about in your sleep. All right. So 80% of that content should be focused on solving someone's problem, addressing a concern or a frustration, and addressing people's pain points and how you solve it. I always like to do that, but I tend to post on a Tuesday, a Thursday, and a Saturday. And often I'll post on a Wednesday as well. And I'll try to mix it up. So I post regularly, and it's normally within 2 to 3 different verticals of what I specialize in. I would recommend you do the same. So don't worry about trying to post every day. It doesn't work. Quality over quantity all day long. So that's the second part. Third one, which is, again, something that I like to use, is I like to change my content up in a variety of different ways. Number one, if you follow me over on LinkedIn, you'll see that I use I create a lot of posts based on personal perspective. And that could mean an insight, a personal experience, maybe a conversation that I've had with somebody. And it'll be often led with, this was the scenario, this is what we discussed, and this is how I fixed it. All right. So it's kind of like, again, I like to use a human element. There's too much AI stuff out there. But if you come from a human angle, people are going to resonate with that. What you're going to find is that there'll be more people following your posts. There'll be more people saving your posts. There'll be more people sharing your posts. And there'll be more people commenting on your posts. So that is what I do on my posts. All right. So that's the third part. The fourth one is staying in your lane. And I think that's extremely important. You know, if you've been in business like me for like 33 years, I've got a huge skill set. But actually, would I prefer to go wide and speak to a wider audience where I'm going to get less traction? Or is it best to speak to a specific type of clientele, honing in on a specific problem with a certain frustration and a fear and pain point that I'm addressing? It's best to stay in your lane. So if you specialize in blockchain, crypto, and AI, don't speak about something completely random like politics and religion because it's not relevant. People aren't going to resonate with that. And you've got to be very mindful of when you're posting content, it's about the reader, not about you, not about your beliefs, not about your belief systems or whatever it is. It's about the reader. What are they going to get out of your post? So if you're whining about, I don't know, politics, which I always stay off LinkedIn, but politics and religion is an absolute no-go. But if you're complaining about something, right, people aren't going to care. If it doesn't add value to their life, people don't care. So I think that's really important. Number 5, this is probably one of the most important parts of what I've done over the last 24 months, which is experimentation. Now, one of the things that I love to do is I am never satisfied with my content. I'm never satisfied with what we create, etc. And the reason I'm not ever satisfied is because I'm always looking to make improvements. Nothing's 100% perfect. You probably agree with me on that. It's all about refining what you can actually create. So I am completely obsessed with split testing certain, for example, we've been split testing certain content mediums. We've been split testing what times of day we should publish our posts. We've been split testing the types of different content, how effective, what words to use, what frameworks we should use. And so don't be afraid of experimenting, and, look at some of the posts, and there's some great tools out there. For example, Authored Up is a great tool, because what you do is you can create content. It measures all the metrics, and it can show you like, for example, the reach. It can show you the engagements, etc. But what you can do is you can take the posts that you've done over the last 3 months, and you can actually see what are the low performing posts and what are the high performing posts. And then you start to do a comparison between the two. And I think this is very important, because then you can learn from what did you learn from the high performing posts, and what did you learn from the low performing posts? What can you do to make improvements to? How can you turn it into a high performing post? What can you do to repurpose that post into something which is a little bit more attractive? So I think that's very, very important. The other thing that I mentioned on here as well is that LinkedIn wants you to stay on the platform. So your content itself needs to create real discussion. Don't just broadcast. The amount of, on LinkedIn feed, for example, the amount of people that have very little engagement on the post are the posts that just broadcast messages. And those are the types of messages that are just not going to go anywhere. You must just not bother publishing them. What you really want to do is you want to create some content which is actually going to add real discussion, real insight, real opinions. So one of the some of the best content that we've created recently is just creating like very simple frameworks and asking the audience, which one do you lack in? Which one do you need to make an improvement to? What that does is it addresses a certain common pain or frustration. But what it does is it encourages people to either save the post. But again, it gives people train of thought. So that's very important. So encourage real discussion on your profile. The last one, which I think is probably one of the most important ones, is specificity. What do I mean by that? So I talked about staying in your lane. This part is all about getting clear on the message that you're actually trying. So communicating, articulating the value in a specific way. So, and again, addressing mistruths, lies, fears, frustration, problems. If you start addressing, we did a great podcast with a guy called Les Evans last week. And we talked about brand positioning. One of the things that I asked him about was the Contrarian angle, because society loves contrarians, which basically means it's the polar opposite to what everyone else is saying and doing. You have a completely different opinion. And again, being specific about solving a certain pain point or problem is going to help you and the success of your posts. But more importantly, it's going to turn what you do into real revenue, real growth. So I hope this is kind of giving you guys some ideas. I'm just sharing with you some best practices. I'm sharing with you about what's working, what's not working, what you need to focus on. We've demystified some of the myths around the LinkedIn Top Voice badge, about not killing yourself type of thing. But I want to give you guys a framework. I want to provide you with some clarity, as in to say, you know what, achieving the LinkedIn Top Voice badge is the not all God all send all. I want to kind of say that to you. Focus on just quality over quality content, not quantity content. There's a lot of things that we have covered in today's episode, and I hope that it has kind of provided with you with some insight. Hopefully it addresses some of the belief systems that you may or may not have, but also fundamentally, hopefully it gives you some ideas about how to use organic content to the best of its ability, and how do you utilize LinkedIn how to use LinkedIn as a tool to be able to improve your marketing efforts. So anyway, listen, hope you've enjoyed today's show, and just want to say thank you so much again for listening in. I will put all the show description notes below. And if you haven't already followed me over on YouTube, please do me a favor, head over to YouTube right now. Go to my YouTube channel, which I believe it's youtube.com/Adam Strong. You'll be able to follow and subscribe. We put all of our video podcasts over on YouTube. You'll be able to join the community over on there. And again, we'd love to hear from you guys on that. So anyway, thanks so much. And hopefully we'll speak to you soon. Take care. See you soon. Cheers.
Rinse knows that greatness takes time, but so does laundry. So Rinse will take your laundry and hand deliver it to your door expertly cleaned. And you can take the time pursuing your passions. Time once spent sorting and waiting, folding and queuing, now spent challenging and innovating and pushing your way to greatness. So pick up the Irish flute or those calligraphy pens or that daunting beef Wellington recipe card and leave the laundry to us. Rinse. It's time to be great.